All right, welcome everybody. Right now we have our thruster housing, our propellers, they're all printed, ready to go. We also have our servo mounts figured out, and now we have this little metal disc that goes on the end of our servo. We need to figure out how we're going to mount this to the actual thruster housing. To do that, we can't actually just put screws in it because the servo motor will be in the way. So we actually need to create a connector that goes on here and then gets connected to this separately. All right, so let's get to it. To do that, I'm going to open up my thruster housing model that I already have, and we're going to create that connector right here on the top of our housing. So I'm going to rotate my model back around to the back side, and I'm going to create my first sketch here on the back face of the housing. Now I want that to be, it's going to be like a dovetailed piece that fits all the way around, but I can't make it the exact same size because when it prints, it's going to print a little smaller and it won't actually fit in. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to create an offset of this outside edge. And it gives me a 1 millimeter offset. I only need a 0.1 millimeters. So I'm going to change it to 0.1 millimeters. And you can see how that's barely offset from that outside edge at all. And that's what's going to give me my first shape. All right, to do this, I'm going to come down here and get, I'm going to actually, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to take a construction line. I don't want this to dip down below this point right here on the top. So I want to keep my drawing above this point. So I'm going to come to right, zoom in, get to the right edge, that one. All right, so that's going to be my starting point is right here on the corner, and I'm going to work my way up. I don't want to go below this, otherwise the connector will cut down into the housing. All right, so I'm going to click out of a construction line, get a normal line, and I'm just going to quickly sketch straight out. I'm going to go up a little bit, and the exact sizes here don't really matter. We're going to dimension them in just a second. And then here, and then right to this. Make sure you're on this corner, this outside corner, and not this corner. So I'm going to be on this offset corner here. And let's clean up some stuff. So I'm going to turn on my horizontal parallel tool and click on this line to make it vertical. This has a 90-degree marker, so it's already now horizontal. This one has a perpendicular marker as well. And this one does too. So all of these, I can go click on them. I'll get this error saying it's already been sort of set. So that's all good. I'm going to hit escape out of that. And I'm going to dimension this. And I want to make this, let's call this 3 millimeters. And this one, actually escape, I'm going to do that one. Let's do this one here. Yeah, this one here. I'm going to dimension this one here, and let's do this one at 4. That should be thick enough. Now they all turn black, so they're all locked in. I'm ready to rock and roll. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sweep this, and I want to sweep it around this shape to fill in all this gap around here. The only problem is, well, maybe it's not a problem. Let's just try it, see what happens. My thinking is that maybe this won't work because this line, if you look, this line doesn't match that one, but maybe it will maintain its geometry. Let's just try it. So I'm going to hit finish sketch and just try a quick sweep to see if it works. So create a sweep. We're going to sweep this profile and we're going to sweep it. The path we're going to choose is this path. I'm going to zoom in over here and see if it's swept properly. Yeah, I think that worked great. Yeah, you can see how it came around to this outside edge. It looks red in here because we're seeing that back turn as well. And instead of cut, I'm going to put on here that I want to do a new body. And then I'm going to click, let's see. Yeah, that looks really good. I'm going to click OK. Well, that was even easier than I thought it would be. I thought we would have to create a new profile for that. All right, so now that is that first piece. So I'm going to hide, real quick, hide the housing so we can whip around and see. And that's that new piece right there. That's going to be the connector. All right, perfect. Put the housing back on, and we are going to now create a sketch on the top surface and close it in. I'm going to draw quick line right across this bottom corner to bottom corner. And we're going to extrude right away. And we're going to extrude this piece, and we're going to do it down 4 millimeters. And I'm going to turn the housing off so it's not touching it, and then click OK. Awesome. Now it's just join that. That's our connector piece. Last thing we need to do is we need to build in a few more things. One is we want to cut the holes from the housing into this piece, and we want to cut holes for those 5 openings in this little piece of metal, the disc. All right, to do that, we're going to turn off, well, let's rename this and say this is the housing servo connector. I just did HS connector, except I didn't. All right, I'm going to turn that off, turn the housing, well, no, I'm going to turn it back on, and I'm going to create a sketch on the top surface here. And then I'm going to turn the part off, and I'm going to do a projection of this top surface of the housing, so I can mark where all the holes are that I want to cut. And right there is where the holes are that I want to cut. And then I'm going to hide the housing again, and I'm going to cut some holes there. But this time I want the holes to be a little bit bigger because I don't want the threads to engage in those holes. I want the screw to go through that piece into the bottom plastic. So I'm going to make it, let me measure the threads. Looks like 2.5 millimeters is enough to actually cut a gap there. So I'm going to go up to 3 actually, just to be safe. And we're going to go 3 enter, C, 3 enter, C, 3 enter. I could use a circular pattern here, but I think it's faster just to enter them real quick. And then I'm going to extrude the inside, the entire circle. So 2 clicks, one on the outside hoop, one on the inside circle, outside hoop, inside circle. I could have avoided that by making those projections into construction lines instead of real lines. And I'm just going to pull down and say extrude to the object, and I'm going to click on the underside of the object and click OK. Awesome. So that's my screw holes for mounting to the housing. Now I need to do holes for mounting to this. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to create a sketch again on this surface. I need to find the center point, there it is, of that hoop on the outside. I'm going to create a construction line here to line up where all the things go. Find that center point again. That little circle right there tells me what the center point. And I'm going to take it out, and it's 14.25 millimeters across, and that's the distance to each of these, like the circle that connects all those 4 holes on the outside together. So I'm going to click enter on that, and then I'm going to grab a circle, make it into a real line, and I'm going to do that to 3 millimeters. I'm going to connect it with a construction line to the center of the circle, and it turns it black. And what that did is it applied a vertical constraint right here. You can see the vertical constraint symbol. That means this line's vertical. That means that one's locked in place. And now I'm going to do a quick patterning tool. So create circular pattern. And I'm going to pattern this circle around this center point. And I want 4 instances of it. My computer is really being slow today. Just like that. And then I also want to do a center circle. And that is going to be a real line, and it's going to be 6 millimeters. Enter. I'm going to turn off the motor and the propeller, so all I have is my connector on. And I'm going to extrude this and then, whoops. all the way down, and I'm just going to choose all the way through. And then click OK. Except I need to do the center circle as well, so let me go back and edit this feature and include the center circle as well. So now they're all cut through. Now that would be great, and we put the screws, so the metal piece, so the housing is below. Let me turn the housing on real quick. The housing connects to that side. The metal piece is on the other side with screws going through here connecting this piece to the plastic. But the screw heads would be resting right on this inner surface, and they would get in the way of this housing sliding in there. So what we need to do now, I'm going to turn the housing back off. We need to inset the screw heads into these 4 holes. So I'm going to create a sketch on this side, and I'm going to do 6mm circles around each of these 3mm ones to allow clearance for the screw head. So 6, enter, and then C6, enter, C for circle, 6, enter, C for circle, 6, enter. Awesome. Now I'm going to extrude these 3 hoops. I'm going to extrude them down into it 2mm. So here I'm going to go -2, enter. That'll give space for the screw heads to go in so everything can slide in place still. And still give it 2mm of plastic to hold it together. Awesome. Now I'm going to need to 3D print this thing, and when I print this, I'm going to print it this face up, just like it is right now. It'll be able to print up this little angle no problem and print everything really, really well. All right, good job. That's it. Let's turn everything back on and hit back to the home view. That is the mount. So you can see it will slide right into there and then screw onto the other one. All right, best of luck. Enjoy.